Is Badr the scariest fighter? They say that rage and anger is not good for fighting, but that's not exactly true for this fighter. His legendary coach, the godfather of Dutch Muay Thai, noted that Badr is the most talented fighter he's ever met. With nearly a 90% knockout ratio, that puts him in one of the scariest hitters of all time category. But outside of the ring, this man is just as scary. He has 8 criminal assault charges against him. He's even gone to jail for it before. When asked about his rage, Badr himself said he can explode at any moment. He said that when his brakes are off, it's one big explosion of chaos, and it becomes a storm and a disaster. Noting that there is a primal aggression inside of him, Badr said he doesn't know where it comes from, and that he doesn't know what to do with it. Fight fans, welcome back to another episode of Striking Breakdowns. In this episode, we explore the notorious moments of Badr, the bad boy of kickboxing. The most notorious moment everyone knows Hari for is his press conference with Peter Graham, an Australian kickboxing legend. At the conference, the 22-year-old Hari refused to shake Graham's hand and then called him an amateur. Graham took an issue with Hari, claiming that he'd be a champion for the next 20 years. Hari then insulted the Australian champion by saying that he's 30 years old.
Hello, you have a big mouth? Yeah? Let me tell you something. I see your tape, I see you fighting. You look like an amateur. Now wait a second. It don't mean you're bad. You're good for an amateur. Okay. Something else. How old are you?
I'm 30, man.
Okay. Drop dead.
Oh.
But that's not all. After the press conference, Hari kissed Graham during their confrontation, which led to an immediate brawl, with Graham taking Hari to the ground. During the legendary fight, Graham landed what would forever be known as the Rolling Thunder knockout. This was achieved by chucking a throwaway overhand and then throwing his body into a spinning drop-down kick. The falling down mechanics of this kick is why this now legendary attack is called the Rolling Thunder. Fight fans loved that the cocky young fighter was humbled. And in his next fight against Ruslan Karayev, another unfortunate event happened for Hari. When Hari slipped in the corner and fell to the ground, he got hit with an illegal kick. He got up late during the count and the referee counted him out. Naturally, Hari was very angry and his corner protested, with everyone refusing to leave the ring until they were escorted out by the officials. Hari was then filmed smashing everything backstage after the fight. After 2 prolific losses back to back, this was enough to stop the momentum of any rising fighter, but not Badr Hari. He will go on a 7-fight win streak, avenging both of these losses and capturing the K1 heavyweight title all within a year. After going through many tough moments in the fight against Ruslan Karayev, he knocked out his rival with one punch. A month later, he won the K1 heavyweight title against Yusuke Fujimoto. Then 4 months later, Hari won a decision victory against Peter Graham. And in all of 2008, he didn't lose a single time, beating a who's who list of Ray Sefo, Globe Feitosa, and Peter Ertz. This was one of the greatest comebacks that combat sports had ever seen. But in a fight for the prestigious K1 World Grand Prix title against Remy Bonyaski in the finals, Badr's rage would once again be activated. In a very odd moment, Badr took Remy down and thought it was an MMA fight, continuing his punches and even added a foot stomp. Of course, he was justly disqualified when Remy either couldn't keep going or chose not to. Bader's career is an odd one to think about. Although he won against almost every legend of the sport, such as Gokhan Saki, Semi Schilt, Alistair Overeem, and Peter Ertz, the K1 World Grand Prix title eluded him. He did win the Showtime World title against the great Semi Schilt, and even defended it once, but then he would lose the title again by disqualification in an illegal upkick. So did Bader's ego and rage help his career or hurt it? Well, it was a double-edged sword. The anger drove his intense training and will to fight, and despite his prolific losses, he almost always avenged them. But in many of his most important fights, he would self-sabotage the opportunity to become the greatest heavyweight champion the sport has ever seen. Bader certainly had the potential, as he beat almost all of the greats of his time. But one thing was missing in his career. You see, it isn't about the absence of anger that makes a fighter successful, it's the ability to control the anger. Fighters like Buakaw and Saenchai harness their anger to their advantage. And while Bader does plenty of that, he also lets anger take over in the most important moments. And because of that, he loses an opportunity to win or retain great titles. Since these unfortunate events, and after his legal troubles, Bader seems to have turned around and matured. Despite being on a losing streak since 2016, he is still one of the best fighters in the world. Bader could have won all of his fights recently, but he would lose the fights either due to an accident or in a moment of miscalculation. Personally, I'm rooting for this man. Since he's been training with the great Saeed El Badawi, it seems like Bader has matured a lot and is now able to control his emotions. If Bader can show the ability to change and evolve as a human being, that truly represents the power of martial arts. If he can once again win a major world title, all the while showing true humility, he will have the greatest comeback story the sport has ever seen. If you enjoyed this episode, please do watch another episode of Striking Breakdowns. I'm Lawrence Kenshin, and thank you for keeping our channel alive.